Hey everybody, this is Puppet Boy. Now we start the series with Michael Myers, often referred to as the Shape in the Halloween series of slasher flicks, with the exception being Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Now with Halloween 3, Michael Myers doesn't appear like he does in the other films of the series, but the original Halloween film trailer does show up in a few selected scenes, like this one for example.
You got it. The Immortal Classic, followed by the big giveaway at 9. Brought to you by...
Now Michael Myers first appears in John Carpenter's Halloween, made in 1978. In this we see a young boy, Michael, murder his older sister Judith on Halloween night. He is then institutionalized. 15 years later he escapes and he heads back to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois. There he kills a bunch of teenagers, takes big interest in teenage babysitter Laurie Strode, played by the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis. Now with this one, his psychiatrist Dr. Sam Loomis, played by the late Donald Pleasance, attempts to track him down, and as we know he proves quite elusive. Now Halloween 2, released in 1981, picks up straight away from where the last film ends. In this, obviously we know that Dr. Sam Loomis shot Michael 6 times, which proved useless. Michael escapes Loomis and he heads to Haddonfield Memorial, where he finds Laurie. Obviously she's there because of the injury she sustained fighting Michael before, with Loomis hot on his heels. Now the importance of Halloween 2 is that we actually find that Laurie Strode is Michael's younger sister. Now the return of Michael Myers takes place 10 years after where the second film ends. In this we find out that Loomis and Michael both survived the explosion that happened at the end of Halloween 2. Michael obviously ends up in a coma under observation in Ridgemont Federal Sanitarium due to this. When he awakes he finds out that Laurie is dead, but she had a daughter called Jamie Lloyd, played by Daniel Harris in her first movie role, and this becomes his primary target. He returns to Haddonfield and the massacre starts all over again. Then he's shot down a mine shaft by state police. Now with Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, it immediately takes place straight after where the fourth film ends. Now as we know, nothing this evil stays dead for long, sorry. Now Michael escapes the mine shaft and is cared for by the local hermit. Once he is fully restored, he obviously kills the hermit. That's gratitude for you. And he returns back to Haddonfield. He's eventually caught by the local police, and there we see an unseen figure aid Michael in escape by shooting the local officers holding him. Now Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers is the 6th film in the series and takes place 6 years after the last film. With this one we find out that both Jamie and Michael have been missing from Haddonfield in 6 years, and then we find out that Jamie, obviously older, now played by J.C. Brandy, has been kidnapped and impregnated by the Cult of Thorn. The Cult of Thorn is revealed to be the source of Michael Myers' evil. Now Dr. Terrence Wynn, who's the leader of the Cult of Thorn, used to be Dr. Sam Loomis's friend back at Smith Grove Sanitarium, and he's also the unseen figure at the end of Halloween 5 who aided Michael, and he's also the one manipulating Michael like a puppet, make him do his evil bidding. Now obviously Michael finally succeeds in killing Jamie, but not before she hides her newborn. Now this was noted to be one of the weakest films in the series and notorious for having multiple endings. Now I quote this one from Wiki, so I'm not stealing anything. The theatrical version is the only version commercially available, while the director's cut and the producer's cut, which the movie should have been, only exist as low quality bootlegs. Now also make note that Halloween 4, 5, 6 are considered non-canon, so they've been shelved completely separate from the rest of the series. So if you're going to watch it, obviously we'll go 1, 2, and then 7 and 8, and obviously 4, 5, 6 stand on their own. Which brings me to Halloween H2O 20 years later. Now H2O completely ignores the last 3 films. Laurie Strode, Curtis reprising her role obviously, apparently faked a death to escape a lunatic brother, now lives in California under a different name, has a teenage son called John, and is the headmistress of a private boarding school where Michael eventually tracks her down. He kills all John's friends, and as the title suggests, it's the 20th anniversary since last meet of brother and sister. Ba-ba-boom. Now, I quite enjoyed the climactic battle at the end where Laurie takes on her brother and manages to decapitate him, hopefully ending the reign of Michael Myers. But we know better. Now, Resurrection starts 3 years after H2O. Now, Myers' death has been retconned. It seems that Laurie didn't actually decapitate her brother, but a paramedic that Michael so cleverly put in his place, you know, changed the costume, the whole infamous mask, and broke his larynx so he couldn't cry out, "Help me, Laurie!" So, there we go. And then he goes into hiding, which I find is pretty clever. And because of this event, Laurie ends up in a psychiatric hospital where her brother obviously tracks her down. Now, my favourite moment, even though Laurie's in the first few opening scenes of the movie, I'm not too worried about the rest of it, because like a certain series went into space, this one goes into cyberspace. I'm more interested in the first bit of it. Now, you can tell me what you think, because I still think there's another story to be told. As we know, Michael survived this one and John's still alive, so let's do it like another series went to number 10 and finally kill him, and whatever happens, John, what happens. But anyway, the bit on the roof has to be my favourite. Now, obviously, those who haven't seen it, by all means go out and see it. Those who have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, for the new age, Rob Zombie's Halloween, released in 2007. I actually quite enjoyed this because it's not only a prequel, but a remake. Why? Because it delves deeper into the psychology of Michael Myers. It shows you a lot of his childhood, and thus obviously makes him the product of his upbringing. Now, Rob Zombie's Michael explains his reasons for killing, whereas Carpenter's Michael really didn't have a reason for killing. He just did it. And obviously the gorgeous Danielle Harris returns to the series, but this time is Annie Brackett, the best friend of Laurie Strode. Now, Tyler Mane. Okay, Nick Castle was great in the original for the scenes he did have. But Tyler Mane, ex-WCW wrestler, 245 pounds at 6'8". I reckon I would personally hand him the mantle for Michael Myers, because he did do it in 2 consecutive films, and he's by far the most intimidating. Okay, now Rob Zombie's story continues in a sequel. Now this one follows the same formula as the original 2 and takes place straight after where the first one ends, but thus jumps ahead a year. Now, even though the film didn't do too well, I still say it was a pretty slasherific film. Now, obviously with Michael Myers, throw me your opinions, tell me what you think. Is there more to be done with him? Now, if you're looking for merchandise, you know, there's DVDs, t-shirts, the costume slash famous mask, the old Captain Kirk one all painted up with ruffled hair and shit and whatnot, and there's, you know, you got your magazine articles, posters, the dreaded bobblehead. Now, if there's anything unusual out there, or Michael, that you have found, please tell me. I'd like to know, because I do collect a lot of it. And by all means, so far this is not what I have, but some of it what I have. So far so good, and see you later till next time.